Hey guys, that's Ray Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Glad to have you all here with me today as I swallow my mic. Guys, I might want to swallow my mic at the end of this video. I don't know. Welcome. Send us some positive vibes, some love your way, especially if you need it out there today. So we met behind closed doors with Plarium. A lot of what was discussed is about like future plans. So kind of like embargoed content or NDA about like future updates, but there will be a big update coming. It sounds like towards the end of this year, kind of the holiday or the Christmas themed, not themed, but Christmas update, which we actually usually get. So they didn't really give us anything on that other than they said it was going to be like pretty substantial. So pretty cool there. But the news of the day right now is the Deck of Fate. So the Deck of Fate, as you guys probably have seen on like 100 videos right now, your clan's probably talking about it, is a somewhat of a disaster. It's just a disaster. Let's just be straight up, right? It's not very popular. What do they do? Without going into all the screenshots, all the math comparing this event to every other previous event, this one is based on Soulstones, right? This Freyja event, who's very, very good, by the way. I think she's incredible, so it's kind of a shame. It's an extra shame, given how good Freyja is. She's really, really good champion, super solid. But anyway, back to the event. They basically boosted up the points, or they nerfed the point. You can see it right here. Agelin's in my clan. They nerfed the points by 40% for this deck, right? So they made it much more challenging. So what do they have to say about that? That's the first question we talked to them about, right? Well, their answer is not going to blow anybody away, unfortunately. Basically, they're looking at this as an entirely new event, right? Not comparing it to previous Deck of Fate events. Thus, the changes, testing this out, testing out the new scoring system, so to speak, right? But it's a super bummer, man. There's no other way around it, right? Just nerfing these points, especially after players have saved for these. And I don't know, we asked if they take into consideration all players, like free-to-play players. But they basically said, you know, kind of, not a non-answer, but basically it was kind of like, yeah, we're doing this and, you know, we've made the decision and we're going to test to see how it works. And when they say test to see how it works, they're going to see how many people complete it based on your average Deck of Fate event and kind of make decisions on whether they want to do this again. So if you're not a fan, they didn't say this, by the way, this is coming from me. If you're not a fan of this, maybe just don't do it, maybe skip it, and they'll use that analytic data to inform how they do the next event. Basically, they say they take every player into consideration with events like this, but suffice it to say, it's going to be a real pain. It's such a shame for a lot of players out there. So that's really all they had to say about it. You know, they basically said that every player does not have to participate in every event, which to me is like, okay, that's true, but at the same time, you know, a marquee event based on their big campaign, right? They have the whole event dungeon and everything else. More on that, by the way, really soon. It's a shame. It's just a shame. It really sucks. It really sucks. And there's nothing I can say that's going to make anybody feel better about it. Okay. Let's start with quality of life. I want to talk about quality of life, live arena, PvE content, and clan siege in today's video. So quality of life, they have an internal mandate right now. Not a lot of like, you know, detail fleshing this out, so I don't have a ton to share, so I'll be brief with it. About fusions. Fusions, they want to add extra opportunities, extra events, kind of go back to the way things used to be, where it felt like they were a lot more generous with the way that we can get, you know, complete fusions, excuse me. So TBD on what that means. You know, honestly, not to be skeptical, but I'll kind of believe it when I see it, or at least let's see what happens, right? On fusions. I'm still bummed out because, again, it's my fault, but I missed out on Thor, right? I like missed an event. It's on me, but man, more makeup opportunities, more events would be really, really cool to me. More accessibility. We asked them about keys, right? Like, why not just add auto battle everywhere there's keys? I'm talking Iron Twins. I'm talking Doom Tower, right? How about Doom Tower bosses? Why not just give us instant battles here? We're just consuming keys anyway. There's no energy associated with this, unlike Iron Twins. Basically, they had a kind of an interesting answer that I honestly had not thought about, but they said that by adding instant battles to a clan boss, for example, right? it's a damage race, and not a damage race. It's a damage metric. You get enough damage and you get the reward, right? It doesn't matter how long you take necessarily. Whereas they want players to still continue to optimize their times. So basically, if they added instant battles to, let's say, Nether Spider here, there could be a player that takes 35 minutes, right? Or maybe like Scarab King is a better example. Maybe like a Bommel Lady Annabelle strategy, right? And they want to encourage players to develop, obviously, more champions, right? More resources, blah, 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 and optimize their teams so that they feel like, it sounded like they feel like giving a player who works really hard to optimize a team and completes it in 1 minute the same advantage of a player who goes an hour-long auto battle. So you can make the argument that, hey, you're clearing the dungeon either way, you're clearing the boss either way, you should get an instant battle. But that was kind of one of their perspectives as to why they don't add instant battles everywhere in the game. It did sound, though, like they are ready to and planning on implementing more time-saving things like they did with the quick battle of clan boss and like they've been doing with the kind of the permanent what the heck, super raids. Sorry, I do them every day and I forgot the name of it. All right, new and better market is coming. Okay, TBD on when it is, but this market is trashola. I don't even click on the market. Like, I'm just like, wow, what is this thing? Clicking on it here. It's awful. It's awful. They're going to revamp and redo the market. That's good news, right? Especially for newer players where you can probably get hypothetically, you can get really good stuff from the market, right? Okay. Minnow. Oh, they've been very reticent of committing to anything to improve Minotaur's Labyrinth for a long, long time in the game. There's still only 15 stages, right? Of course, I think it's because they want us to continue to use gems to buy masteries and they want us to have the alternative be slogging it out in the dungeon, right? Which is, of course, what most players do, which makes it a more acute pain point to only have 15 stages, right? So it didn't sound like there was anything imminent in terms of adding stages the way that they kind of worded the answer, but it did sound like they do have plans to better optimize Minotaur's Labyrinth in the future. So again, a kind of lack of details there. So let's go ahead and evaluate. As soon as they have a solution, let's go ahead and judge and talk about it then. Artifact and accessory in champion storage. Basically, it comes down to kind of a people with suboptimal devices, right? Not the newest model of the Androids or the iPhones or whatever. Moreover, people with bad internet, adding, like they said, there's a lot of things they can add to the game which will not deteriorate your player experience, but more artifacts, more accessories. And I'm sure you guys who have been playing the game for a while, you kind of understand this too, because sometimes if my game ever lags, oftentimes it's when I'm like loading my filtering, my equipped, and there's like 4,000 artifacts or accessories or whatever. So they said they do plan on adding more champion storage. Okay, so champions, good. In terms of, and maybe, just maybe, this is me talking, not them, maybe it has something to do with the fact that like the biggest whales in the game right now, they can't even pull shards because everything is legendary or above, everything on their entire account, outside of faction guardians. So I found that crazy. Anyway, they will be adding champion storage, artifact and accessories. They said it's a bit trickier, but they're looking at ways, in other ways, it sounds like, to tackle this issue, this pain point in the game. There's going to be an auto sell feature being added to the forge, and it sounds like other areas of the game, maybe you can filter out like crappy gear to auto sell, which is really, really cool because I find it tedious, especially if you're doing mass forges, like I'm probably going to do one here with Clan vs. Clan coming up tomorrow. So that's coming too. Live Arena. Sounds like there's going to be 2 Live Arena updates coming to the game. Number 1 is going to be a smaller one, it sounded like, later on this year. They kind of alluded to this. The first Live Arena update is going to make it more appealing to a broader player base. The second one looks to be coming next year and a lot more expansive. It sounds like, again, they did not get into any detail, but it sounds like they're really going to give it not an overhaul necessarily, but a lot of different improvements and features in different verticals that you can explore there. So Live Arena definitely sounds like a focus of theirs in terms of PvP. Nothing on tag team. Nothing on tag team arena. Oh, poor tag team. Looks like you're always going to be a vehicle to get my faction keys and maybe a little bit of bizarre points there, right? Okay, that's that. PvE content. Doom Tower is considered complete at this point in the game. They're not going to add anything else to Doom Tower. At least there's no imminent plans to add or do anything to the Doom Tower. Faction Wars. Interestingly enough, Faction Wars, they are thinking that they're going to expand Faction Wars. They said, quote, there's a lot more that we can do here in Faction Wars. So what do you guys think it will be? Do you think it will be like more stages, a new champion after Lydia? What do you think they could do with Faction Wars? I don't know. Maybe I'm being like a bit too myopic, but I'm like, okay, well, there's factions, there's dungeons. What are they going to do? What else? There's a lot more to do. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I'm intrigued. I'm interested. We'll see. Cintranos, basically the opposite of Doom Tower, right? Curse City, they sounded like this is an incomplete or a massive work in progress. A lot to be done. TBD on the timeline, but it sounds like there's a lot they can do and they have planned for Cintranos for Curse City. They could add, this is me talking, not them. They could, but they've mentioned this on a previous meeting like months ago when this feature was first introduced. They could add bespoke, like unique bosses in terms of these double bosses. They could add, different areas to Curse City. They could expand. You can see this map could go on and on. They could add all kinds of different stuff. So Curse City expect a lot more to come over time. Again, to me, it sounded like kind of next year type stuff on Curse City, but TBD. Event Dungeon. They said it was a huge success, and I agree. I love the Event Dungeon. Obviously, there's a lot of feedback that we could give here, like the crappy artifact sets. By the way, any of you guys have like a 9-piece pinpoint? I farmed a lot of Event Dungeon, and I have tons and tons and tons of good accessories, so that's not a problem. Kind of got to weed some of these out as well. I have an artifact, kind of a new artifacts tips video going out live soon, which I think a lot of you guys might enjoy. But yeah, I have a lot of pinpoint accessories. I'm sure like a lot of you guys who have spent time in the dungeon, but in terms of my gear, it's not bad, but it's kind of a work in progress here. It's hard to actually get your hands on the artifacts, right? So this is like the best I have on my account, including equipped gear right now. So not a ton of it, but I'm doing pretty well with it. They said Event Dungeon was great. I mean, the Event Dungeon is like really cool, but it all plays into the whole Isengard campaign, right? They want to make their events in the game bigger and better and more kind of not just an event on the event tab, right? Like actually immersive inside the game. Personally, I'm a big fan. They actually said that interesting comparison here, which I loved personally, but they said like think about like Apollo 11, right? In the like the space program, they're at Apollo 6 right now. So they said there's going to be a lot more event dungeons coming in the future. It sounds like way more. Like this is just going to be a long-term thing, not necessarily right after this one is done in 2 weeks and 2 days, but beyond that. Clan Siege. They were really pleasantly surprised by the activity in Clan Siege. They were also very surprised of the participation in the damage. The damage is a lot higher than they expected from clans. By the way, they get rid of draws as of this next Clan Siege. No more draws possible. That's good news. They want to update the economy first, right? Repairs will be around 10 times cheaper in Clan Siege, which is great because part of the best thing about Clan Siege should be taking advantage in making offense a little bit more trickier, making defense a little bit easier, making strategy a lot more robust and in depth in the game by adding those bonuses to the defensive buildings and making them have to really think and strategize on who should attack where, who has the best HP only champion, stuff like that, right? They might add spectating or replays, but it's not a top priority right now. They said something like that, adding like replays or live spectating to the game actually is substantial in terms of development time, and it's just not their top priority. Doesn't mean they won't do it. They see the inherent value in, learning what your opponents failed at, or your clanmates failed at, so you can go ahead and use that knowledge to succeed on a given battle, and kind of just the excitement of having live battles you can spectate as well. So that's what they want to do on Clan Siege. Is it going to be perfect? No, because I still think there's some incongruity when it comes to the fact that we punt for matchups. There's the fact that when you upgrade, you give your opponent more attacks. They did have some rebuttals on that from an analytical standpoint, but it sounds like there's a long way to go in both Curse City and in Clan Siege as well. So there it is, guys. By the way, I know a lot of people asking about Wixwell and about Trunda and about the Hydra Clan boss changes. We know that some big changes are coming soon. We will know about that very, very, very soon, okay? Not at liberty to share any of those details right now, but that's all I have for you guys. What do you think? I threw a lot at you. Let me know how you feel about all this in the comments below. Thank you for watching till the end. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.